この感触、この匂い。ハンバーガーがドリンクポテト付きで出てきた。
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Here again with some Brook on Sim. So we're going to be running the same list as we were last video. So if you are looking for a discussion on that, you can hop over to that one. It should be at the end of the video. There should be a card for it. But without further ado, then let's hop into some more games. Alright, for our first opponent here, we have Nami. They've opted to go first, putting us on the second curve. I do think this is a pretty good hand, so I am going to keep this. And we'll see how this plays out. We want to find Pyrodocking 6. So hopefully we can find that with our Nami here. We do not find it here. I think I'm going to take the Zoro because it'll work best as a fallback next turn. And we'll use the mill here. Still no pirate docking, and pass to our opponent. Young girl. One that we would definitely like to get off the board if we end up not finding a pirate docking, this Brook so that we can swing at the young girl. It's probably a good idea. Fortunately, we're going to end up giving our opponent quite a few cards here. Oh, there's a pirate docking. So we have access to that for next turn. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to swing a 5 here. I don't think my opponent is... if they're going to counter, they're going to counter a 7 just the same as a 5k. But I do think they'll probably just counter here. Yeah, that's what I figured. So now we will play the Zoro and use Chopper to get back to Pyrodocking 6. Fully expecting the Nami here. Ooh, they didn't have the Nami. So this is going to be a 7. I think I'm going to block here just because I don't want to give them more cards at this point. Let's go for a 6. That's enough to at least make them not have a free block with this Marco. If they want to use it, that's fine. They do hit a trigger, unfortunately. We're going to use the card action, get back one of our choppers here. Mill again. Let's see here. Going to 8 next turn, we do need to pick up a Nami, so let's go ahead and do that. And then we will pass the turn. Next turn, it'll be a 5 and a 7. 6k here. I'm actually going to take here. They aren't going to get to draw, unfortunately, but it is how it's going to work. Only a 6 here. Yeah, I'll take. We've already given them their card for the turn, so it's not necessarily much off of us for that. Let's see if they take the free block or if they just want to use the leader ability. They do just want to use leader ability. Let's go again. They do take. They hit another trigger, unfortunate for us. We're going to play out Nami and get back our Luffy here. And then we're going to swing at face again. They do take the block there. We're going to pass. The little... see, they put us to 0, but they're only going to get to swing a couple times here. Yeah, so they realize that they're not going to get that swing. And an 8 is a 2k here. Alright, now what do we need to do on our turn here? We're still a little ways away. So we need to make it at least one more turn. I think the correct play here then is we're going to hold up a good amount of counter. I guess let's start... I guess this Luffy makes a lot of sense here. This will exert a lot of pressure without exerting much in the way of Dawn investment. And then I think we're going to end up holding up a bunch in counter. So let's just swing a bunch of 7s probably. Okay. We'll do 7 with this Nami. And we'll do another 7. And then let's do an 11. This should also be a take. We'll pass to our opponent. Let's see if they stack an 18. I don't think they will. I think they should split. This is 1. Nine is a 2 and a 1. They probably have math if they work it out, but we'll see. Well, a big one here. This is going to be their last swing then. Plus 3, 2K, 1K, 1K. So we were a little bit short. But that's to be expected. They hit the 2 Kikunojos out of life. That really does a lot for them. And I do think this is a tough matchup for us anyways. But let's hop into the next one. Alright, next up we have a blue-purple Luffy. I think I'm going to go first here. I do want to find a searcher though. We do have a searcher and we have the pirate docking, so that'll be a good setup here. Unfortunately, we do not find the chopper yet, so I'm going to go ahead and grab, I think the Brook is better as a way of getting a little bit deeper. No chopper yet. This works. We get a blocker here, which will help. Mill, and then play a blocker and pass back to our opponent. A 7 we will take, no problem with there. Still no chopper, so we're gonna have to get a little bit deeper into our deck to see if we can find the chopper. See how our opponent plays it. This looks like it could be a Zorjoro or holding up some events, or maybe a Gear Second. Oh, they're just gonna hold up events, it looks like. So let's go ahead and mill. See if we hit the chopper. We do not hit the chopper, unfortunately. So let's just do... Yeah, I think it's still correct to do docking. Oh, there was a chopper in the cards we milled, so that worked out nicely for us. And then we are going to try to grab the Nami, I think, is the card that we want to grab. So let's grab a Nami, and we'll pass the turn. On our next turn, we'll end up just playing out this Luffy. They do get, yeah, see, this is the card that I was kind of expecting them to use there. 8K we will take. Here I'm actually tempted. Let's just swing the 7 here first. This seems like a Bagua they had up last turn that they didn't use. Oh, they didn't. So we're just gonna go ahead and play out our Luffy and pass. We have 2 guys who can't be interacted with by their 9 drops. So we'll see what they end up playing. Roger's the one that is probably the most annoying to work with, but I do think, and I may have forgotten my leader ability last turn. Oh, I actually did. So that's unfortunate. We cannot quite get there off of the 1 card. I think it's correct to probably take once more. 7 here. I forgot to use my leader ability, so I did miss out on a turn of this 7k protection. So definitely got to catch up on that. Let's see. We want to do the Nami into this Luffy, restanding for. Let's see. We can do 6, 8, 8. That's something like that sounds right. So let's start with a 6 here. Kind of push on our opponent where we can. Okay, so they just take. Go 8. With our blocker up, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. I wonder if our opponent is particularly bricked. Noro Beam Sword, that is okay. Because they do have to still give me some counters, and that just means that I get to stack everything on this and swing for a 10 here. This is enough to get out of Gum Gum Giant if they want. They won't. And a 2k. Yeah, I do think that was a pretty effective turn here. Noro Beam Sword is certainly an annoyance, but I do think we can work around it. Have unblockable Sanji. Okay, good to know. We don't want to go to 0 if we don't have to, then. 14 cards means we do have to work a little bit for this. That is 2 Sanjis to go for it. So I think we'll probably just end up waiting one more turn to try to make this work. Let's go ahead and give this. If they want to play out the... Okay, Nami, makes sense. And then a big swing with lead, maybe. We expect them to have a pretty well sculpted hand at this point. Actually, no swing with lead is the answer. So all of my guys are at least 7k, so they can't even swing with their leader here. Let's see. Let's do a 6 with the Nami. Let's do an 8 here. I do need to remember to use leader ability, so I will make sure to do that before passing the turn. Working on getting cards out of their hand. This is definitely a grind matchup. Yep, there goes the first giant. Okay, so they probably won't be able to use a second giant this turn. Let's use this. Let's go with another 8 here. Use Dofi. Noro Beam Sword is likely here. If they're going to have it. I'm not even convinced it's correct to play out another character. Maybe playing out the Nami and going board with our last swing. Let's go with an 8 here. I think 8 is probably good. Trying to just force out what we can out of them. Pentachromatic strings. Okay, so they are back up to the top. 3, 4. I'm leaving 1 just in case I find a event here. I could look through my list and kind of know whether or not I'm going to need it. So this is 2. Let's see if they have more cards. 1 more 1k. Okay, they do get there. I've done everything. I think as a 7k with a blocker and a life, I'm probably going to be okay here. We gotta remember to use our block earlier in the turn. I think 6 cards is something we can deal with next turn. Also, using this block does give us room for, what's it called? But not on this one. So let's do 2 and a 1. We want to hold up some variety of answers here. A 9. So if they do this, it would be 9, 10 for the other 2 swings, which I should be able to get out of. So I am going to use my block here just to reduce the risk of running into that unblockable. I'm going to go a 9 here. We're going to give them 2K and a 1K. And then they do scoop it up because they realize that they can't get there. Good game to our opponent. Let's hop into another one. All right, here we have another Nami. Again, they opted to go first this time. So I am going to keep this. This is a little shaky, but we have Nami and Pirate Docking, which I think are pretty good for our curve. Here I'm going to grab a 2K, I think. Definitely thought about getting the, what's it called as well? The event. Although currently I don't have too many bricks, so I'm not too much at risk. Little girl or whatever, plus a 7K swing is probably what I'm expecting to see here. Just a 6, I will actually counter this. We got that extra 2K. I think it's probably correct to just go ahead and use it. They set up a trigger. Let's go ahead and just see if they will defend it or not. They do. Mill, we'll play out Chopper. We are looking for a, let's grab the 2K this time around. Then we'll play out this Zoro, make sure we've used leader ability and pass. And then we can use this Zoro to stay at 4 life here. Actually, no, we'll just use this 2K again. I have no problems with where we're at right now. I'll just do a 6K, prevent the free block. And then Pirate Docking, use card action, get back Chopper, leader ability, Chopper, grab one of the Namis, and pass the turn. I do think we're actually in a pretty good spot here. We've managed to keep our opponent off of a lot of cards, which means that as the game develops, they're going to have less resources to work with. We'll just give the block here, because I want to just play another 4 here. A 10 at 5 we will take. So almost certainly this is the Hiyori that they stacked here. So let's just throw the 5 to see if they want to just trigger it. They don't just do the 5, so then I think we're going to go at the board here and see how they play this out. They do protect. If you want to keep giving me cards, I will keep taking them. They have no board at this point. They do find a late girl. I think they probably would have loved to see that earlier in the game. I am curious what they put up there. Robin is a bit of a problem. That doesn't do anything. Now, we're only on 10 cards left. We do have to get through their life now. 7, 7. Let's see how they play it. They play out the blocker. Let's go for another 7. And then we'll go for 9. Mill. We're going to play out Nami into this Luffy. Restand a bunch of Dawn. And we're going to grab some life here. Let's see if they counter out of this. Ooh, they're going to counter very aggressively there. I do think we're in a pretty good spot, actually. They are really low on cards at this point. only really have 2 attacks. We can just take one here. We've already taken from Nami. If they want to go at board, which I do think is correct for them to go at board, they're going to go at board. Then we can give 5 goes up to 12. Yeah, actually, let's... Oh, this doesn't... I gotta remember this doesn't work. So I think I have to let this go, unfortunately. And then a 7 at 6. That's an easy counter here. Alright, so 4 cards. And what do we do if we don't succeed here? Let's go with a bunch of 7s. I think is going to be the where we start. 7. 7. Do we just go to KO the Nami? No, I think we'll just end up playing out a blocker here. 7. 10. And then we can do Chopper into a Zoro, replacing one of the Nami, or replacing the Chopper here. Grabbing a Zoro, play out a Zoro, and we pass there. I think a 7k here. I don't think we're in too big of a risk of dying. We do have to go for it next turn, though. 8 at 6. Yeah, we can let the Nami go. Borsalino. 6 at 6, we do not let that one go. Another Borsalino. Okay. That is an unfortunate situation to see. But we do get to go ahead and rest your guys. So let's start with a 7. Ooh, I shouldn't have done a 7. I should have done a 6. So we might... What do we just do here? We go at their board now. Because we still get one more turn here. We go 6 here. And then we go at the Borsalino. And then we pass. We have a 7k. 3 life is definitely doable here. As long as we get to hold on to one of these Brooks, we're definitely kosher. Opponent on 1 life. I think we still have a good shot here. 1 card means it's over next turn. Yeah, we'll preserve our bodies here. We protect, and then we have a block here that we can use as well. Sanji blocker, unblockable, okay. Here, they cannot defend here, so we go with a 5. They have to take. 7, they have to also take. Or block. As soon as one of the blocks goes, the other one we get. This next one... Correct to do a 7 here. And then we get to do... We rest one. This goes through. Two, three. Active. And then do it again. And we get there against Nami. Really good grind there from our opponent, but we were able to navigate there to the end. So great game. Let's hop into another one. All right, this one is a really tough one. If I've learned anything from what's it called? From locals. I will keep this one. This is gonna be a rough matchup. We have to try to get their life low sometime early, because their late game they're gonna have a whole bunch of Donna, which is gonna be really hard for us to push through. Bonnie here, looking for they grab an Usopp, pretty good one for them. Here we're gonna swing a6. We have to start poking through eventually. We already have our docking, so let's grab back a 2K here to defend our life a little bit. Usopp for sure. 5K we will take. They're gonna get to restand 2. Unfortunately, not a whole lot we can do. We do have to just send it, let them use their leader ability here. They use a card, so that works in our favor quite a bit. Use a card action, get back you. We're going to 7 next turn. We have the Luffy in hand. Let's go ahead and grab a Nami for the following turn and pass. We will swing at these Usopps here. 6. We have an extra 2K here, so let's go ahead and use it. Oh, they're leaving their Usopps up. They're not even going to swing here. Well, I will just start going then. That's fine. Expect 2. Dawn rested for it. What could be interesting is if they do too many of these effects and they end up with more than 5, which does make for an interesting conundrum for them. Most players won't fall into that trap, but it is definitely something that can happen. Only on 12 cards. We are going to have to start eating through some of these life here. So they're going to have a full 5 active at the end of the turn. 9 here we're going to take. 2. Okay, so they're just going to have the 4 because they did a bunch of attaching. Here 5K should be easy for them to use their ability. Although they're gonna run out of Dawn here pretty soon if they keep using just the Dawn from leader ability. 7. Mill. Let's go with a 9. This requires either they take or, yeah, wow. Then we do this into you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna get a nice double swing here. Alright, so they are down to 0. This is great news for us. And we're going to pass to our opponent. This is going to be a pretty good offensive turn for them. They do have a lot that they can do here. Zoro going to 9K, that definitely makes it more difficult. Into 9, we're going to do a 2 and a 1. Seven at my face. I'm gonna take one more here. And a 9, we can give a 1, 1, 1. We do have to be a little careful here. We're gonna restand 5 Dawn. We're on 6 here. To go for it, I have to play out this docking 6, so I have to remember the numbers on that. 7 here. Seven here. 7 here. We can do docking into a Sanji, covering up this Nami. Or we can do, yeah, docking into Sanji I think makes the most sense. Docking here, use card action into Zoro here. We only have 3 cards left. I don't think it's correct to go for it. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. They're gonna have to use 2 more to go to 11. Charleston. So 3 more is active. Let's just do a 7 here. And then we will pass the turn. Ready for next turn. Okay, they got a block. $10. So they're aiming for 10, 10, and then some 7s. Unfortunately, we will have to take here. And then 12. Okay. Yep, our opponent got there. This is definitely a tough matchup, I feel like. The amount of defensive power they get off of not even playing any cards for the most part, like they didn't have to counter like the whole game just about, is a pretty big advantage for them. Let's do one more. All right, our final game here is up against a Lucy. So they've opted to go first, putting us second. We definitely want to mulligan this. Ooh, this is not a great hand. We're gonna need some help from our deck here on this one. Use this. I am gonna go ahead and play out this Zoro just in case. But we're definitely in need of some something from our deck here. They're not swinging. We have the pirate docking, so that helps some. Let's see if we can't get a little deeper and find a chopper. There, we found a chopper. And then I guess we'll swing an 8 here. I'm always curious why our Lucy opponents, who are almost always taking, why they put wow, they actually used the blocker here. They wanted to stay at 4 life. I've seen so often that they just immediately rush to take their life just to acquire a giant hand. But not so in this case. Here we're gonna take. Okay. I think it's correct to do a 6K here. And then we'll mill, and then we'll play pirate docking using the card action for the chopper. We have our Nami, so let's grab a 2K counter to give us better defense in the end game, and we pass here. Opponent's on 7, that is Sabo, so we're expecting Sabo to come here. I think I will take this one. We're just gonna probably put a lot of pressure on this Cavendish next turn. Okay, so they didn't find a Sabo, or they're waiting until something of mine comes out. So I need to be careful about how we play it on our turn here. It might even be correct to do the Luffy here because, yeah, I almost think it's correct to do the double attacking Luffy instead of, I'm just gonna keep going face. I'm not worrying about what our opponent's doing here, I don't think. And then we play Nami into this Luffy, and then we restand a bunch of Dawn and swing real big here. I think this is the correct angle to go for it. Putting him to 1 definitely, I think, will be helpful. -3. All right, well, we got a bunch of cards out of him, and we will pass. I do expect the Sabo into Fire Fist on this turn, yeah. Sabo into Fire Fist, exactly what I expected. We let him go. That's fine. Opponent's going to be swinging for an 8, not double attack though, right? So we can just take one more hit here. Trigger. Now we'll just set up for this Luffy to be what finishes the game for us. 2 blockers here. Let's go 7. We do not have access to any... Ooh, they take here. I'm not going to invest extra if you're going to let me take them for cheap. Let's do this. We're going to grab the Brook for next turn. We can even do this here for another 7. This should probably get a block. We missed our opportunity to use you, so I will hold it for one more turn. And we'll mill so that we're ready for next turn. And pass. Do we hit all of our... 1... We have a lot of acts. We only saw 1 Dead Man's Game, so we should expect to see Dead Man's Game in our top here. Fellow Betty, looking for another Sabo for sure. Opponent just playing blocker, blocker, blocker. Which we're hoping that we'll be able to just push through with Brook and maybe a Dead Man's Game. Viola. Okay, now they did find the Sabo. Let's see how they play this. Fire Fist, unfortunately, does mess with your guy until the next turn. So Fire Fist is quite effective here. We'll have to probably wait another turn if they do go for the Fire Fist line. Okay, so they don't. They're playing out another Cavendish here. Eight cards. They're gonna swing with this Sabo is the question. If they don't swing with this Sabo, I think we just wait another turn. Because at this point they're not swinging at all. So we just wait another turn, do our other swings, and yeah, that doesn't do anything. We have Dead Man's Game now. So let's see how we can navigate getting through this as best we can. I think small swings is probably better. Then we'll use spoils on the Nami here. For my part, we need to spend some Dawn. We don't have access to, let's see, what do we have as far as Namis go? We have one in here, so that means the other one is presumably in the deck, and we didn't see it off of the searcher that we did earlier. Let's just go with the 7 here. Okay. How do we play this? Do we just set up another one? Huh. We don't have a chopper. A chopper would be kind of nice here. Maybe we can... I think the spoils is just going to end up going to the trash. So I'm going to just play over him now. Now we can... Actually, let's do a little bit bigger. Let's go with a 9 here. Force at least the Sabo plus something. And then this Luffy can be our backup for the following turn, in case this Luffy gets Fire Fisted. Let's see how they play it, though. It might even be correct to go at one of their Sabos to make sure that we don't get hit. They take 2, 3, 4, 14. This should definitely either get this Sabo or their life. I'm kind of fine with either option, realistically. I'd almost prefer the Sabo and some counter, maybe. Just to get their hand low. Yeah, it looks like that's what they're going to do. They're going to counter now for 6k to get up to 15. Okay, minus 3. They need 3k more. 2k and a 1k. Alright, and then we pass to our opponent here. Draw plus leader ability means this is active already. We don't need to worry about this swing. They did get rid of a Fire Fist, so that might mean that they're not going to try to, unless they have extras. Sabo Fire Fist, yeah, here's the Sabo, and here's the Fire Fist. Where are they aiming at? Okay, they are going at that Luffy, because they don't want to deal with the double swings. 8 at 6. No block, and then we give them a 2k and a 1k. And then double attach on their Rebekahs. We might have to try to go another turn. Opponent has 9 cards left, and wow, they are pushing just as hard as we are in this game. Let's see how they play it. This is definitely an interesting one. We do get to rest 3 guys, and if we get rid of the Sabos, then maybe that is enough. Okay, 2 blocks. Okay, so they have 5 blockers. No Dawn up. So if I use double, if I rest 4 of them, and I have 2 Dawn left, I think that's probably, I feel like that's got to be enough. Use card action, rest, rest. Use card action, rest, rest. Go 5. And then cancel 7. Should be 2 cards. If they have a bunch of events, then that works in our favor, because then they're only 1Ks, which means that these 7s will be really effective. I'm not sure if I can swing at this. No, I don't think it works. It's a -1. They're doing the math. If they have any 2Ks, I think that they are okay. Because we don't have to, well, we kind of have to go for it here. Okay, they had a 2K. If I go here, yeah, I think we have to try it here. Let's see how they react. If they counter here, then we switch to going at Sabo. If they block here, do I go 11 twice? 11 twice. 11 twice. We'll lose to 4 2Ks, but I don't think that they're going to have 4 2Ks. So we're going to go 11 twice. If they hit a trigger, that could do it. 2 11s, I think, should get there. They need to have 4 2Ks here. Or 2K, 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 1K, I guess is enough. And opponent's thinking on it. And we get there. Yeah. These blocker ones, I feel like there's always a little bit of a spot where they have to be a little more aggressive with their guys. Obviously, the threat of resting events is really strong against them. But let's go ahead and do a deck wrap-up. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this list. I'm probably going to go adjust the list that I have to be like this one. As long as I can find Sabos or their replacements, these are effectively just 2Ks. So pretty much anything would work in their spot. I haven't used them very much for their other mode. And it would almost be more useful to have more Straw Hat 2Ks that I can get back off of Chopper. Just so that in the events where I don't find the Sanji, I can get those. I feel like Chopper only ever gets back Nami when I'm going into turn 8. Or Pyro Docking in the early game, or the 2Ks, and sometimes Brook. I really wish he could get back Dead Man's Game, but that is not a possibility. And this Nami is also a really good target, but I feel like frequently I don't have the wherewithal to grab it when I need it. Just going with the 2K is something I probably need to try to adjust the way I'm playing it, just to know that I can use when I have enough counter and can grab one of these as insurance for the end game. Because there's only 5 total of these rest events, and Nami is one where you have to kind of get it back ahead of time. Dead Man's Game you can never get back, so you kind of have to draw into it. I feel like using Chopper to get back Nami is a line that I probably need to take more often. Getting back Brook is almost as good, but Nami is quite strong here. But thanks again for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys next week for some actual live gameplay with this deck list. But until then, bye.